Hi, welcome to my little studio. This is my first studio vlog. If you like art, painting, quilting, come along with me. Just general cutesy studio vlog vibes. Yeah, so I'll talk to you later. Hope you enjoy the vlog. Bye. Hello everyone. So starting off this vlog with a little painting. I didn't actually finish this painting. I'm looking back on it here now and I'm only just realising that I've never actually finished this one. I wanted to work in my big A3 sketchbook, so say when it's folded out like that I'm working in an A2 sheet, and I like working in that sketchbook because it's just so huge and I can just get really messy and have fun. So the majority of what I have on my palette there that you can see is cheap acrylic paints that I have, and then I'm mixing it in with some acrylic wash that I have, the set that you can see on the left, because I only have basic colours in the big acrylic pouches. So I worked on that one for a little bit and then I stopped, and I actually haven't picked it up since, even though I mean to. And I used the leftovers to create two smaller paintings in my sketchbook. I kind of did similar landscapes to the larger one that you see there, and it's just little fun kind of scribbly ones with the same colour palette, and then I'm going over with it with the Caran d'Ache Illuminance colour pencils. So going over them there with that, doing in all the little windows. I love little janky, badly drawn houses all on top of each other. I think it's really fun. And then I'm doing big scribbly trees in the background and adding in power lines. If you ask my partner what I draw, he says I draw clouds and power lines. Even though it's not really true to nowadays, it's what I drew a lot when I was younger. And then I'm adding in little twigs for little bushes at the bottom. I love adding these little details. I love drawing tree branches. It's like one of my favourite things to do. They're fun and they're easy and they always work out. I really enjoy it. You can see I added little birdies above the houses there as well. Really fun. That is the painting for the start of the month done. I didn't do a lot of paintings this month. So you can see there I have colours for the quilts that I want to do. I'm making a puff quilt, and you'll see what that is later on. So here I am just cutting out all of the little squares, 4-inch squares, and they're the ones that'll go underneath. And then I cut out these 4.5-inch size squares to go on top. So you end up kind of, the top ones sew onto the bottom ones, and they create kind of like a pocket then with a bit of space so that they can be filled with the puff. I always find cutting out is my least favourite part of sewing. It's so boring, but at least for the puff quilt you're only cutting out squares and you don't need to think very much. So I do enjoy that part of it because it's a lot easier. So here they are all cut out, and now we're going to start sewing them. So you can see what I mean, that like the larger square goes on top, and an aerial shot would have been better here, but basically you create a little pleat by folding over the excess fabric towards like the middle of the puff. You can kind of see it there, and that'll create room for the puff, the stuffing to go in. So it's pretty good in that sense. It's a really simple quilt to make, and like you don't need to be incredibly accurate with your measurements or anything like that. It's very, very easy to go through. So I'm just finishing off. You only sew the first 3 sides and you leave the 4th side empty, and then that is your little pocket there. So those little pleats that you can see on the 3 edges, and then I think I turn here, yeah, and that's the little pocket that the stuffing will go in. So it's pretty handy. That's one of many. So to lay them out, I had 36 separate colours, and I wanted to randomize them. So I had 4 sets of each colour. So I assigned each colour a number between 1 and 36, and I randomized 1 to 36 4 times. So, you know, I had 4 lists of random numbers between 1 and 36, and that's how I used to generate this pattern that you can see here. I did end up going back and changing it, because obviously if it's random it might not look terribly aesthetically pleasing. Like you can see a little row there where there's 4 dark colours in a row, and then there's some rows where there's a lot of lighter bright colours together. So I did want to even out the contrast. I have my first row done. So I'm gonna go and repeat this 11 more times, and then we'll have all of our rows done and ready to stuff. Hello, so I have now sewn all of my little rows together. So yeah, we're gonna start stuffing and puffing. This is the stuffing for the puffing. It's just, I think it's just polyester. Yeah, it's polyester. So yeah, I'm gonna take this out, take all the little pieces and shove them into the things. So now comes my favourite part, I think. It's the most satisfying part, because I think you can see the puff quilt really coming together here. It is stuffing all of the wee puffs. So you can see what I do there is I just shove a load of stuffing in. I don't overfill them, because the more you fill them, the actually less plush the quilt itself becomes. It becomes quite stiff. I made that mistake with my very first puff quilt, because I thought the more stuffing, the heavier, the warmer, and it's a nice heavy blanket, but it's a bit stiff. It doesn't have a lot of mobility in it, which is kind of what you want for a throw. You want something that's kind of cozy and plush. So less stuffing the better, just enough to make it puffy and soft. So I stuff them, and then you can see what I do is I create that final little pleat on the edge to match up with the 4-inch square beneath it. So as you can see, I started doing all the puffs for it, but then I got a little bit disheartened. I kind of felt that it wasn't as autumnal looking as I originally wanted it to be. I thought there was far too much like whites and creams in it, so I've gone and I've changed the layout. I've pinned down where I want to change blocks, and so I basically need to, in a sense, start over a little bit. Not completely. I can still obviously keep the ones that I want to keep, but I'm a lot happier with this layout. I think that looks a lot more like what I wanted originally. So I'm going to start with these rows that aren't stuffed and fix all them, and then move on to these ones that can be like properly finished once I go through them. So I've just finished my 12th row of the puff quilt. So now it is time to go and join all the rows together. Now comes the time where if you don't have a powerful sewing machine, your machine will struggle a lot. The first time I made a puff quilt, I had a very basic sewing machine, and oh my god, I hated this part so much. I have a lot more powerful machine now. I have the Pfaff Quilt Ambition 630, I believe, whereas beforehand I had a Singer Tradition. So this machine is specifically meant for quilting, and it can handle a lot of thick rows like this. You can understand when you're seeing it there how much of a struggle it might be for a less powerful sewing machine. But all you need to do here is just sew up all your little stuffed puff rows together I like this part because it is where you really see the quilt start to take shape. Let's try a quilt. See if it's adequately cozy. Yes, I like it. You could just curl. Okay. And then your little feetsies on your lap, reading a book. I like it. So now that I have the top of the quilt made, I need to put in my wadding or my batten on top of it. I'm just trimming it to the size, and then on top of that I will add the backing fabric. I chose this really cute moony starry print. I love the celestial vibes of it. Then this bit is pretty boring. I am pinning all of these layers together. For this one I machine quilted it, but for my original puff quilt I actually hand quilted it. This was a smaller quilt. Like I said, I have a more powerful sewing machine now, so I know that it can handle all the layers, and I know that it will work a lot better with machine sewing it. So this made it super fast when I hand sewed my first puff quilt, albeit it was bigger, but it took me like a month and a half of sewing every evening after work to finish quilting it. So now that it is all quilted, all I need to do is trim it and do these little edges. I trim the wadding all the way back to the edge of the quilt itself, and then I leave, I think it's about a 1 inch allowance of the backing fabric all around, and then I fold it in half twice and pin it down, and then I'll sew around that on top of the machine, and that will be the binding, and it'll all be complete. And this is the final quilt. I'm so happy with how this came out. It's exactly what I wanted from what I originally had planned in my head. It's so cozy, so perfect. Be an art vlog if I didn't include a few more paintings that I've done this month. This painting that I'm doing here, I absolutely loved how it turned out. You know, when you have those paintings that you have in your head, you have a picture in your head of what you want, and then a lot of the times it doesn't come out exactly what you're imagining. But with this one, at least with the tree on the right, it came out exactly how I wanted it to. The tree on the left, I could take it or leave it, but the one on the right was chef's kiss. It came out just how I wanted it to, and I'm so happy with that. I have this little time lapse of these two paintings that I did. I'm quite happy with how both of them came out. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this vlog, if you enjoyed it at all. I'm very new to all of this. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so let me know if it was at least watchable in any sense, and I hope I wasn't too awkward or weird or anything like that. I don't have an outro filmed, so I will probably leave you here and let you watch, chill out with some music as I finish off these paintings. Please do like and subscribe and leave me a little comment down below. I'll have the links to my other social medias in the description. Yeah, thank you so much for sticking around. I will see you again next month. Bye.